Listening, fill in the blanks, guided practice. Let's start. Here's question number 1.
I think one of the solutions is to make better use of the polypill. A polypill is the integration of multiple medications into a single pill. And we have these today in common over-the-counter cold and flu remedies. And there have been prevention polypill studies done giving combinations of statins, blood pressure, aspirin, which in randomized studies have been shown to dramatically reduce risk compared to placebo. But these polypills weren't personalized. They weren't optimized to the individual. What if we could optimize your personalized polypill so it would be built for you, based on you, could adapt to you even every single day?
Here are the answers. I'm sure many of you found this question a bit challenging because the speaker was going at a very high speed. So the pace was quite high, and most of us would struggle if we were typing and reading and listening at the same time at such a high pace. In your exam, the questions that you get, they will be a mix of it. So in some, the speaker will talk at a high pace, in some at a relaxed pace, at a slow pace. So the more you practice, the more you will get used to different types of audios and different scenarios. And it all comes down to how much practice you have done. And every day, if you have been listening to academic podcasts, that will make a big difference. Did you have any difficulties with any of these words? If during these questions you find that you come across a word that you are not familiar with, then I would also advise you to start maintaining a list of these words. So for example, let's say someone found integration difficult or could not made a spelling mistake when writing integration. So then my advice to the person will be maintain a list of such words, maybe in a notebook. Just write integration, note down the correct spellings. Later on, learn the meaning of those words. So keep a running list of such words. And before your exam, in the days before the exam, you can just review that list. Next question now.
Adidas teamed up with an organization called Parley for the Ocean. Parley goes out and collects plastic waste from the ocean. Adidas uses the plastic waste to make shoes. Shoes made with plastic from the ocean. Good for the environment and good for business. Because if you know that rapidly growing consumer segment known as hipsters, and I know you know hipsters, then you know that a hipster faced the choice between a no-name shoe and an Adidas made with plastic from the ocean will pick the Adidas every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and then walk around like it's no big deal, but look for every opportunity to talk about them.
The answers, most of them, they're familiar, common words. So I hope you were able to get them all correct. The goal of your practice should be to finalize your strategy. How much time I'm going to spend? Will I type directly into the question screen on the keyboard? Or will I take notes and later on I'll type the answers into the text boxes? So you have to decide your strategy before you go into the exam. One way to do that is, if you take a few tests in which you type directly, then take a few tests, attempt maybe a couple of quizzes in which you first take the notes and then you type them. And you can compare the results in both. You will know which of the two you are more comfortable with. It's one thing to assume that I'm more comfortable typing or I'm more comfortable first writing down and then typing. And it's another thing to actually try it out and see. This is an important exam for you. So I strongly suggest that you try out and then decide. Don't make assumptions beforehand. The next question now.
These urgent crises may not be a reality in your life or in your neighborhood. And perhaps you've had opportunities for a good education and for marketable skills and for getting a job. And maybe you've never faced violence or prejudice or discrimination. But there are tens of millions of young people who are not so lucky, and they are sounding the alarm for their futures. And that is why UNICEF and our many public and private partners are launching a new global initiative.
Answers. Usually you will have 4 or 5 blanks. Maybe if the text is long, you might have a couple more, but not too many. Always important to review in the end so that you can capture any spelling mistakes and maybe also any grammatical mistake if you have made. So for example, if instead of sounding you write sound or sounded, then later on when you review, you can pick that grammar mistake and correct it. Or for example, in this blank, instead of partners, you have just written partner. Then, when you review it, you'll know that in general, when we make a statement like this, we always say public and private partners because there's more than one. We don't say public and private partner. We are not talking about one person or one specific organization. So a review helps you avoid all such mistakes. The final question in this session.
Everywhere I looked, there were things moving. And these things moved with their very own causal rhythms, their very own mechanistic anatomies. It was clear to me and to Newton that things move based on their component parts. Worms squirmed, birds flew, kangaroos hopped, and a human's first bout with flying was falling accidentally, tripping, or slipping on that fabled banana peel. Once your ground is dragged out from under you, a world of wonder comes rushing in.
The answers. I hope you were able to get all of them correct. Once again, I'll remind you that it's a good idea to maintain a list of words. If you make a mistake in any of these blanks or you come across any words that you're not familiar with, not just ignore that and move on to the next question. The idea of practice is also to learn, because ultimately what matters is how you will do on the final exam day. Everything before that is an opportunity to learn. So maintain a running list of words and make sure that from time to time, maybe once every week, you review the list of words so that by the time you go into the exam, your vocabulary has improved quite a lot.